The Best of Living in Iowa is funded in part by the Gilchrist Foundation. Founded by Jocelyn Gilchrist, furthering the philanthropic interests of the Gilchrist family in wildlife and conservation, the arts and public broadcasting, and disaster relief.
Funding for this program was provided by Friends, the Iowa Public Television Foundation. Generations of families and friends who feel passionate about the programs they watch on Iowa Public Television.
Hello, this is Morgan Halgren. For 16 seasons, Living in Iowa told the tale of what it means to be uniquely Iowan. Tonight, we honor that spirit by bringing you another glimpse into our rich heritage with a few stories from our archives. In this episode of The Best of Living in Iowa, we'll revisit Rusty the dog, who was injured in a mowing accident, see a matchstick artist whose work has been displayed around the world, visit with Sam Jewell, who in 2005 was the youngest mayor in America, and listen to Manchester-born singer-songwriter Susan Werner, who has been compared to the likes of George Gershwin, Cole Porter, and Billy Strayhorn. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the best of living in Iowa.
We'd like to re-air a piece that put us in good standing with a lot of our viewers. It centers around a friendship between a man and his dog, and it offers an inspiring example of our chosen phrase.
If you've ever driven through Adair County, there's a chance that you've seen Bill Davis driving along in his red pickup truck. And if, as they say, man's best friend is his dog, there's a good chance that Bill's best friend, Rusty, was riding behind him. You can tell Bill and Rusty spend a fair amount of time together. Rusty has rubbed the paint all the way down to the metal in one spot on Bill's pickup. Other than that, you probably didn't notice anything that different about Bill or Rusty. Bill operates a 600-acre row crop and livestock farm outside of Stewart. The truth is, there really isn't anything that unusual about Bill. It's Rusty who's been getting a lot of attention. When Rusty was 3 years old, Bill, while cutting some hay, accidentally ran over his thoroughbred Australian red heeler, severing on the same side 2 of his best friend's legs.
This dog has been with me all the time, and I guess he's just very important to me, and God, I didn't want to lose him quite yet, but they didn't really give him much of a chance because they thought maybe the shock of losing 2 limbs would be too much of a trauma, let alone being able to walk. That if he did walk, if he did live, he would be what you would call a lap dog, or he just wouldn't be able to walk. You'd just set him somewhere, and that he wouldn't have the will to try to get up and try to balance himself on 2 left legs.
We had made the decision that if Rusty was going to just be a lap dog, then most likely we'd put him to sleep because it would just kill him to go lay someplace all day long. So on Monday morning, it was the beginning of my summer vacation, and we decided, the vet called us and said, come in and see him. So all 4 of us kids, us, Bill and I, and Angie and Austin, all went in. And he goes, I'm not going to say anything, just go back and look at him. So we just went back there, and he stood up and he hopped twice. And all 4 of us sat down like babies and bawled because we just couldn't believe it, that he had that much will.
Since then, Rusty has had many more milestones. When Rusty had all 4 legs, his favorite place to ride was on top of the toolbox in Bill's pickup. Before long, Rusty proved he still deserved a spot in Bill's truck by jumping up into it.
You know, first times he didn't make it, and he would hit his stubs, and it would, it would bleed, and it was just, you want to say, Rusty, you don't have to do it, but no, he just kept backing up, and about 2 days? It really took him 2 hard days of really hard work. And man, he just timed it just perfect. He just knew exactly how far to get that leg up, and then he jumped right back in the back of the pickup and topped the toolbox just like before.
Before long, there was no challenge too big for Rusty, and it seemed nothing that Rusty couldn't do. Whether it was swimming or rounding up cattle. And while this light brown blur of a dog was busy proving that he wasn't half a canine, the press took notice. The Iowa Boy did an article on Rusty for the Register, and all of a sudden, faster than a 2-legged dog can run, which according to Bill is 17 miles per hour, this barnyard dog became a media hound. Television and radio talk shows from as far away as Australia, and yes, even the National Enquirer, have spread the story of this dog with only 2 legs but a lot of heart. Before long, cards and letters started coming in, some even containing money.
Oh, we didn't think it would touch so many people's lives. But we had one gentleman, he was a retired priest from Clarion, Iowa, who wants us, if any way possible, bring Rusty up to him. He is handicapped. And he said that quite often he loses his spirit. And he just gets feeling low. And then he says, after I read the article about Rusty, I just pull it out. And I read this article, and it brings me up.
People have even driven by the Davis farm hoping to catch a glimpse of Rusty, so they could see with their own eyes the dog they had read or heard about. But for some, like the man in California who called after reading about Rusty in the National Enquirer, there's just no convincing.
And he thought for sure the picture was fake, because he says he could tell there was really a 3rd leg there. And he was just nasty, and he just kept going on, and he kept saying, well, look at the picture, and I says, well, I don't have to look at the picture because I had the dog here. I don't need to look at the picture.
If you're driving on I-80 and you come across the exit for Stewart, pull into the Belleville Standard. A drawing of Rusty hangs in the window, and there's a chance Bill might be there with Rusty because Cleta Langford likes to feed Rusty one of his favorite treats, chocolate.
Rusty, he has a will to live, and he doesn't let his handicap bother him. He is still going to keep it going as best ability as he can.
Stick with us, woodworkers, because we want you to observe the artistry of Pat Acton. His creations represent hundreds of hours of detail work on subjects that range from trains and ships to the Terrace Hill Mansion. In fact, it seems just about anything can spark this man's imagination.
It's a matter of taking 2 matchsticks and gluing those together, and you've got it started, and you just roll from there.
In the past 17 years, Pat Acton of Gladbrook has glued together over 750,000 matchsticks.
So I can spend sometimes 2, 3, maybe 4 months, and you can't even see what I'm building. But once that starts coming together, then it becomes just a passion to get it done.
Pat works hundreds of evening and weekend hours putting together his matchless creations.
I love working with my hands. I'm in a job that I don't use my hands or build or really see what I've done at the end of the day. But my personality, I'm one that likes to see what I've done at the end of the day, and I get a great deal of satisfaction out of that, and I don't think I'll ever lose that.
Pat began his unusual hobby shortly after finishing college. At that time, he didn't have any money, wood, or tools, but he did have some free time.
I remember the first day, it was during, the weather was terrible, that I got down to the grocery store and bought a few boxes of matchsticks off the shelf, came home and started cutting the tips off the matchsticks. I made a real small model of a country church, a high-steepled country church. And from that, the interest continued to grow. The only thing I had to make that church was I started out with a razor blade and a piece of sandpaper and a bottle of Elmer's glue. This may not be as easy as I thought it was going to be either.
After 10 years of cutting the sulfur tip off each kitchen match, Pat discovered he could buy just the sticks, 33,000 to the box. Each matchstick is 1/8 by 1/8 by 2 inches long. If all the matchsticks Pat used were laid end to end, they would extend about 24 miles.
I just continued from there, and I got more and more intricate and more detailed. And the scale of the models went from inches into feet, and from hundreds of matchsticks into thousands of matchsticks, and it just continued to evolve. And before I'd get one model done, I had 4 or 5 ideas for other things I wanted to see if I could make. I love it. I just love it. It's my time machine. I'm an American history nut, and a lot of the models and things that I make in one way or the other relate to our history. And I do a tremendous amount of research on each project. So many things are made that way. The steam dome here has a round disc inside. It's also hollow, and then just skinned around the outside with the matchsticks.
Pat's current project is a model of Paul Revere on his midnight ride. Recently, he's also been exhibiting his models at woodworking and art shows around the Midwest.
People say, oh my gosh, you must have the patience of Job. And if my wife is ever within earshot, she reminds people there's all kinds of patience, because I'm not noted as a very patient individual. When you get in closely and you look and you start seeing the number of matchsticks, and people start imagining the hours that it would take to glue those thousands of matchsticks together, they're just fascinated by it. It gives a person a very big head. Very big head. I think I'm just pretty neat when I walk away from those shows. So I have to maintain. I come home and my family lets me know right away that I'm just Dad. So that's how that goes.
Only a few other people in the world have built as many large-scale models as Pat. Ripley's Believe It or Not museums purchased a dozen of his models to exhibit in their museums around the world.
There are no instruction booklets on this. It's completely self-taught, and it's just something that you figure out as you go. And the longer I do it, the more I learn. And finding out that I could bend the matchsticks. That all came about at my daughter's insistence. When she was really small, she wanted Pinocchio. And I said, honey, Pinocchio has got too many curves and shapes. I just can't do that. Well, she insisted. So after about a year, and she was still clamoring that the real Pinocchio was wood, why couldn't I make a Pinocchio? I decided that I'd give it a try. Well, it was during the construction of Pinocchio that I figured out that I could take the pliers and slightly crimp and break the matchstick and make it curved. Once I figured that out on Pinocchio, not only did I accomplish Pinocchio, but from that point I haven't run into any shape that I could not reproduce. And so thanks goes to my daughter for being insistent that I make Pinocchio.
So far, Pat has built over 40 models of ships, planes, buildings, and animals, and he has plenty of ideas for more.
Right now I have 4 projects that I don't have that done because I get in too big a hurry. I have this new idea and this new thing I want to make, and I jump from the tedious part of sanding and finishing the work into building the next project. I've already been doing research. The next thing that I want to do after this is I'd like to make a model of Terrace Hill. I just think the governor's mansion is the most beautiful building.
Although he's run into some roadblocks getting enough information about Terrace Hill, that won't stop Pat from completing his project.
I tell people that I'm going to have to learn to make things out of Bic lighters because they pretty much are a thing of the past. It's pretty amazing to take a pile of 30,000 matchsticks and actually get it glued together that it resembles something as close as it does. Sometimes I amaze myself.
Since we first aired this story, Pat has continued to set the world on fire with his matchless creations. He was able to stick together 38,000 matchsticks in 500 hours to create the clipper ship Cutty Sark. His version of the Terrace Hill mansion contains over 250,000 individual pieces. And this model of the Space Shuttle Challenger, which took 1,000 hours and 200,000 matchsticks, proves that Pat continues to be one of the world's best matchmakers.
In the last presidential election, young voters had the lowest turnout ever reported in America. But it would be wrong to assume that all 18 to 25-year-olds are politically apathetic. For proof, we traveled to the small town of Roland, where, when no one chose to run for mayor, 18-year-old Sam Jules stepped up. He's now in the midst of his first term as Iowa's and America's youngest mayor.
In high school, Sam Jewell wrestles at heavyweight. But as mayor of Roland, he grapples with the inner workings of city government. At age 18, Sam is the youngest mayor in America. and is out to prove that politically he is no 98-pound weakling.
Anyone have something they want to say?
My first time I voted in an election, I voted for myself. Not many people get to do that.
Roland, a small town located in central Iowa, has a population of around 1,300 people. Sam turned 18 just a couple of days prior to the election in 2005. But his decision to run for office came 2 years earlier after an election where there was no candidate for mayor.
You'd hope that people would want to be active in their community, and that was part of the reason I ran. I figured even if I didn't win, I'd get people wanting to do the job, so.
When Sam ran for mayor, he was unopposed, which was a real advantage when it came to campaigning.
I did a little campaigning at the school with the kids that were able to vote, and we made little buttons that said Jewel for mayor, but I didn't do a whole lot of campaigning there either. Being the only one on the ballot was pretty good.
Sam received 48% of the total vote, with the rest of the vote split among write-ins. According to Sam, his first duty as mayor was to purchase an Idiot's Guide to Robert's Rules of Order.
We really don't follow Robert's Rules of Order that close, but it gave me a basic understanding of the system we use, so it helped.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I am mainly a facilitator. My responsibilities are I think I'm the first one in a time of emergency. But if we had a police force, I'd be in charge of that. I think one of my things, I'm allowed to suppress a riot and things like that are probably never going to happen, but mainly I facilitate the council meetings. The mayor doesn't vote in Roland. I have a veto power within 14 days of something, but I don't intend on using that. Usually don't want to make enemies.
Sam has found that as mayor, you're bound to take a little heat. And in his third city council meeting, there were some citizens who had an issue regarding the snow ordinance.
Ours is just open. It's on the books. It's whenever you guys decide that we got 1.5 inches of snow, wham, we're going to get tickets. That's a little ridiculous.
Well, we have a snow ordinance in town, and we had a deputy come through at 5:15 in the morning and ticket all the cars that he saw that were in violation of that. And it was at 5:15, so people weren't very happy.
The next thing on the agenda was approving the city budget for the upcoming fiscal year. For those of us who have trouble balancing our checkbook, a city budget is enough to make your head swim, but something that Sam was willing to dive right into.
We have an excellent city clerk that has everything organized and put out in a deep way, and we're very frugal with our budgeting. I mean, we don't have people asking for huge things. There's not a whole lot to cut. Most of them want what they had last year, so it makes it fairly easy. And I like knowing what's going on, and I kind of enjoy doing it.
All right, so are we ready to move on?
Before they knew him as mayor, most people in Roland simply knew Sam as the kid who delivered their morning paper. While the town sleeps, Sam gets up every morning at 4 a.m. to deliver the Des Moines Register. He makes around $5,000 a year as a paperboy. In contrast, he makes $1,500 a year as the mayor of Roland.
Yeah, there's a lot of irony there. Most people think being mayor is a big deal and paperboy not, but turns out I get paid more.
When he's finished delivering papers, Sam's day isn't done. It's off to Roland Story High School, where Sam's a senior. As one might expect, Sam is on the student council, but he is also a member of the National Honor Society. He's on the speech and debate team, in the school chorus, and until this year when he had to drop it because of scheduling conflicts, a member of the high school band. He wrestles, plays football, and is an Eagle Scout. In the sectional wrestling tournament this year, he won by a pin in his first match, but lost by a pin in his second. You don't have to be much of a lip reader to see Sam congratulating his opponent on beating him.
Well, I mean, I'd wrestled him before, and I knew he was just stronger, and that's a lot in wrestling. I did my best, and I guess I didn't really have any regrets, so there's no reason to be angry.
After he graduates, Sam plans on attending a nearby community college so he can finish his tenure as mayor. His long-term goal is to become a history teacher. But in the meantime, his plans as mayor are to keep Roland fiscally sound and compliant with federal regulations.
Oh yeah, maybe I can get a full ride somewhere, mayor scholarship or something, I don't know. I doubt it. I think I fulfill the leadership on just about any scholarship application now, but yeah, it'd have to look good, I think.
Manchester native Susan Werner has been described as a talent with unlimited potential. She recently performed several songs in our studio, and as part of our Thanksgiving special, we thought her song, May I Suggest, offered some food for thought.
May I suggest to you, may I suggest this is the best part of your life. May I suggest this time is blessed for you. This time is blessed and shining, almost blinding bright. Just turn your head and you'll begin to see the 1,000 reasons that were just beyond your sight. The reasons why I'd suggest to you, why I'd suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a world that's been addressed to you, intended only for your eyes. A secret world like a treasure chest to you, of private scenes and brilliant dreams that mesmerize. A tender lover's smile, a tiny baby's hands, the million stars that fill the turning sky at night. And I suggest, yes, I suggest to you, yes, I suggest this is the best part of your life. And there is a hope that's been expressed in you, the hope of 7 generations, maybe more. And this is the faith that they invest in you. It's that you'll do one better than was done before. And inside you know, inside you understand, inside you know it's yours to finally set right. And I suggest, yes, I suggest to you, yes, I suggest this is the best part of your life. And this is a song comes from the west to you, comes from the west, comes from the slowly setting sun. This is a song with a request of you to see how very short these endless days will run. And when they're gone and when the dark descends, oh, we'd give anything for one more hour of light. And I suggest this is the best part of your life.
The Best of Living in Iowa is funded in part by the Gilchrist Foundation. Founded by Jocelyn Gilchrist, furthering the philanthropic interests of the Gilchrist family in wildlife and conservation, the arts and public broadcasting, and disaster relief.
Funding for this program was provided by Friends, the Iowa Public Television Foundation. Generations of families and friends who feel passionate about the programs they watch on Iowa Public Television.